Today we are talking about through lines. And so what I want to do is I want to kind of share my screen here with you. We're going to jump into it here right now in just a second. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about how we can use through lines effectively without frustration. And so that's kind of really what I'm after is to try and do that. So let's talk about it. So here's what we're going to do. We are going to use through lines. We're going to use my through lines, and we're going to talk really just about this section over here. So if you are not familiar with through lines, basically what through lines does is it takes your DNA matches and other people's trees and your tree, that's your real tree, not your DNA tree, your real tree and other people's trees. And what it does is it kind of combines those two things together. And so by doing so, we are able to then map, estimate using, this is Ancestry now. They're kind of taking other people's trees. They're taking your tree. They're kind of lining them up. What ancestors do you have in common? And then also taking a look at the DNA matches, and maybe other people have parts or some or all of your tree, but they don't have the entire thing. So through lines is going, we think this is a way that this could work together. So what we're going to do is we're going to jump into my through lines, and we're going to have to blur some stuff out along the way. But when you first get there, you can see that there are 3 tabs across the top. All matches by parent, by ancestor, and by location. It defaults to by ancestor. And so you also have filters over here, by the way. I don't know if you ever noticed that before, but there are filters over here. So you can filter this list. So let's say I only want to look at my mother's side of the family. I can then filter it down, and then I can scroll down and I can say, okay, here's my grandparents, great-grandparents, and so on. And if I am looking for other members, other DNA cousin matches that may be related to me, and then we can kind of combine the trees of my tree and someone else's tree or other DNA members' trees, we might be able to find some new ancestors. So I was working on this guy the other day. So here we have 180 DNA matches between 8 centimorgans, which is the lowest threshold that Ancestry allows, and 3,484, which happen to be my sisters, okay? And then evaluate the relationship paths. All right, let's go take a look. All right, so here we are on through lines. And this is my 4 times great-grandfather, Charles Booth. You can see we can scroll around. One of the things you need to understand about through lines is Charles had a lot of kids, but they may not all be listed here. Only those who have DNA matches underneath each of those, descendants from each of those children are going to show. And here we got 8, here we have 71, 17, 17, 2. Boy, there's a lot of DNA matches here. All of these people descend from these children of Charles Booth. But it could be that there are more children than what you see here. Let's go take a look. This Charles Booth is 1774 to 1821. 1774 to 1821. I'm going to look at his profile, and he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 children. Through lines is showing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So there's 1 child in this group who does not have any descendants with a DNA match. Long story short, basically what's happening here is Ancestry and its best guess based on my tree and the tree of all of these DNA matches is estimating how many people are in this tree. Now, these dashed lines, if you're not familiar, means I don't have these people in my tree. So I could hit the evaluate button, and I can see here that there are Ancestry member trees, 43. So this is going to sort by the number of records, the most amount of records at the top. I want to look at records to help prove this lineage. I don't want to just accept this. I could just accept this, right? Look at all these trees. There's a lot of people in this tree. I could just hit next. It's not going to let me go without something though, right? I'm going to have to hit a member tree, and then I'm going to have to go next, and it's automatically added it. Now, I wish I hadn't done that because I'm not sure of that. So what I would then need to do is go in here and look at all of these hints and prove to myself that that was right. Don't do what I just did. Okay. And so what I want to do is I want to come back here. Now, is there a way to undo that? Not really. I could remove this person from my tree. Could hit edit and delete this person from my tree right here. But I will probably go through this evaluation process and determine, if this person really is in here. Here's another, you're going to see these dashed lines throughout the Ancestry platform, these dashed lines where it says potential father. You'll see it also in the tree. So let's go to the tree view real quick. See where it says potential father and potential mother? All this is that, other hint features. Here's another hint feature. All right. So now we're back in ThruLines, and, you can obviously open up these matches and see all of the people, all of the DNA matches that you have, and all of the potential people and the path to how they got there. Now, Charles Booth was born in 1822 and died in 1902. So there's not that many generations in here, although some of them are. So if I add all of these people in here, I will probably get this icon on Charles Booth in my tree. So here you can see that there is, let me zoom in so you can see this. There is this icon here that says that there are DNA matches that I have completed through the tree. So in ThruLines, it's not from these people because I haven't completed the descendants. This is probably the person right here that, because there's no evaluate button, there's nothing like this, I have completed, it just says Living Smith, but I have imported or created a person in here in my tree, and this DNA cousin is matched. Therefore, it shows in my tree with that DNA symbol, if that makes any sense at all. All right, so one of the things you want to do is you always want to take a look at the evaluate button. You want to look at relationship records, of course, any records. You're looking for records, not necessarily trees. You don't want to just go through this process. What I do is I drill into the tree and I go straight to the records and I evaluate the records to see what they have as far as records go. It's a quick and dirty way to look for more records that you may not already have. And once you determine, okay, yeah, that, there's enough. The 1940 census says, so-and-so is the father of this person or whatever. William Oliver Booth is the father of this person. I will accept that. And then I could go ahead and add that person to my tree. And then SR down here would then become another one of those connected links in my tree. Okay. Hey, we're going to get back to that video here in just a moment, but I want to let you know that Genealogy TV has a website, a newsletter, and a Facebook page. Links for all of that are in the show notes below. All right, let's get back to it. Okay, if there's anything I can encourage you to do as far as ThruLines go is use it as a hint feature. You're looking for records. Don't automatically import someone like I did earlier. You want to go through the evaluate process, but you also you're looking for the records. And so remember, we're also working backwards typically, but when we're doing descendancy research, if we're going from the known to the unknown, in this case is more important than working from the bottom up. It just depends, but you need to connect the dots. So Charles J. Booth in this case was the younger of Charles. It was the grandson of this Charles that we started with. What we need to do is we need to work through that evaluation process. We need to look for all the records. Look, 11 records, 10 records, 8 records, 4 records. I usually start at the top because they're the one who has probably done more work than anybody else. They've got more records in there. So that's the person that I start with as far as the other member trees and going to look at the records that they've already found. Now, remember, those same records are going to also show up as hint features because Ancestry's putting 2 and 2 together. They're going, look at all these people. They've got, 5 people say that this, 1840 census is this person. So, it's going to deliver you a hint for that person. One other thing that you need to look at too is your descendants view in the tree. Let's go take a look. So I'm in the tree, right? And here's Charles Booth, and I'm going to switch this to they've changed the names again. It's now, instead of the family view, it's the vertical view. And we're going to go walk up the Booth line here. And there's Charles Booth. So we can always double check person's children. You know, all of this we really need to evaluate. What we really need to evaluate is to go through all of these people and do our reasonably exhaustive research on all of the descendants so that we can prove to ourselves the records are already in there. We can do that. In this case, there's 12 children, so it's a lot of work, but still, you never know, because when we're looking for more information about this guy, it might be in one of these person's records, or the descendants of these people may have inherited the family Bible and or other records or photographs. Who knows? You kind of need to be comparing both. This is one of the reasons why I like having two screens, is because I can put the screen on one side and I can have ThruLines on the other side, and I actually have three screens. So my third screen, a lot of times I will put my notes up there. And so as I'm working through the different process, I've got my tree on one side. I've got the research window. I'm looking on Family Search. I'm looking on Ancestry. I'm looking in different places. I'm evaluating those records over here. And then as I find stuff, I'm adding it to my research notes on the third screen. So yeah, I'm a little spoiled, but I inherited my husband's monitor. And so I just love it. My whole room could be full of monitors. I'd be thrilled, but I don't think my computer could handle that. Anyway, that's kind of it in a nutshell as far as ThruLines goes. Just make sure that you're looking at records. These dashed lines mean they are not in your tree. Solid lines mean that you do have them in your tree, and you can then always go back to the original ThruLines and start on the next ancestor back once you kind of have done that thoroughly exhaustive research. Honestly, DNA and ThruLines is the last thing I look at. I go through and do my whole process of reasonably exhaustive research first, using the whole record traditional genealogy stuff first, because first of all, not everybody understands how DNA works. They don't understand necessarily how proper research methods work. And so a lot of times they'll just import stuff without records. If you'll, on this screen, for example, if we scroll down, you're going to see a bazillion people who have imported stuff into their tree with zero records, meaning all of these people have not examined anything. They just imported it. And I'm not badgering these folks. It could be that they have done a GEDCOM ingest, or they inherited that tree from somebody else. I mean, there's a lot of reasons why there might not be any record evaluation. So, let's not be harsh on people that don't have any records in there. It might be that it's already been proven on somebody else's tree, and they were given a GEDCOM file so that they could attach their own DNA test to the tree. So just be mindful of that. Okay. That's all I got for you today. I hope a little bit of help here with ThruLines. Just remember, it's a hint feature.